منو هاي؟ لا
لحظة أماني لحظة أماني
Super excited. My first experience with Rattle the Cage. It was, I love the festival. There's a spirit to it, and just the people you're surrounded with. And I've been to a lot of festivals, and there's nothing as unique. And I always say this, and I'm not saying it because my movie's there, but I'm saying it because I really felt it. And it's this energy. Like if there's anyone that I'm gonna ask, because I not usually ask, okay, you like my movie or not, it'll be a fantastic fest, because I do believe there are genre fans. There are people that love the genre, they love the horror, they love the thrillers. And for me, I'm never like, it's rare to be surrounded with people like that love and have that passion to the genre. So no, I'm really excited. And it's been 10 years since. Sure. I'm a big fan of psychobilly films, right? I'm like Whatever Happened to Baby Jane is one of my favorite films. I love, like, another inspiration for this movie, of course, Fatal Attraction. Adrian Lin, as I'm a huge fan of him, of his work. But when it came to the Vow, the story, I knew that was the form or the genre the part of the genre that I loved, right? But when it came to the Vow, it was, for me, what was important is it took me a long time, because I knew the subject matter. I grew up in that's something that I grew up with. It's in our region. And it's 10 years. I had the idea for 10 years. Like, since Rattle the Cage, I had the idea. I still remember this. I was speaking to my writers who wrote the Rattle the Cage in Austin while the film was premiering. I'm like, I have this idea, but I just didn't know how to approach it, right? I didn't want to be disrespectful to the subject matter. I didn't want to go too fast to it, and I'm glad I waited. I'm glad, like, I matured and I grew up and I did my research and I sat with a lot of people that went through it. So it just took a long time. And then end of 2020, I wrote just like a paragraph premise of what it is, and I felt that I had an angle to it, and that's where films like the psychobilly films came in, and I started rewatching it. I'm like, okay, yeah, this I could, I would love. I see where I could take this, and then of course Johnny came on board. He's a person I met from the Blacklist, just like my first film, where Rattle the Cage was the script from the Blacklist website. Johnny I met through the Blacklist, and we're working on other projects, but then this idea came and we started working on it. And then 2 years later, we're in production. You're right, and I feel like the genre you could open up and make it more entertaining, right? Like for example, you could take the Vow and make it a straight up drama, right? But that's not, ultimately that's not a film that I like watching. Right, I love films that will thrill, that make me on the edge of my seat. But then the core of it is something that is subject matter that really relates to me and really hits me at the core. And I think that's what I did with the Vow. Is the subject matter itself was about polygamy. That's the core of it, and it's a family dynamic, right? And taking the whole cultural aspect of polygamy apart, but that could happen in the West, right? It could happen to a married guy and he has his mistress, and no one knows about the mistress until he has a few kids, and they pop up, and this ultimate betrayal a woman would go through, or a family would go through, right? Here in the culture, it just happens. It used to happen more often, but of course, just like in our scenario, where a woman could live in the same household, and this is it's not only the wives that go through it. It's also the kids and it's the boys and the girls. It's both. It's the whole family that goes through this crisis together. So I knew I wanted to talk about it, but then with the genre lens, you could make it a little bit less. It's not about less serious, but you can make it more thrilling and more entertaining. But yet, because I feel like the majority of people, especially, I don't know, I feel like I want to watch a movie that will thrill me and will excite me, but at the same time give me something deeper for me to think about. And I think that's where genre comes in, and it's very handy and it's very good to really talk about stuff. I loved it. It's one of the things that I grew up. I have a very strong mother. Sorry, And I have very strong. My wife is very strong. I have 2 daughters, so I'm surrounded by women. My household are one powerful Arab women, and they're very vocal. But one of the things that drew me to casting this, or casting, let's say, Amani, for example, Badur. So one of the things, it was by accident, and we pushed this shoot, I think, 3 months. We once pushed it 3 months just to find the right actress for the main role. And it's by accident I went to this theater show, the theater festival that we have here in Sharjah. And the first show I saw, it was her. And my jaws dropped. I'm like, this is her. I found her. This is my angel. All right, this is who's gonna represent my main character in my movie. And then, of course, I sent her the script, and from my first meeting, I knew she was the right person because she came to me. She's like, "Hey, it took me 5 times to read the movie," and I'm like, "Why, is it that bad?" And she's like, "No. It's like it just hits too close to home." And she told me her story, and I looked at her. I'm like, "Yes, this is who I need. This is someone, because it is her voice. It is this. We can't be." For me, the number one rule with this movie was to make it as authentic and culturally relevant and culturally in tune as possible. And having Badur, who had a lot to say about the subject matter, be my main, my protagonist was the main thing, was my first step to the right direction with this movie, I feel. And there was a lot of moments that, when I shot the film, usually with the Rally Cage, I would go in, I would know exactly how I'm from set. I'll know how I'm editing. I know exactly how I'm shot this thing. I know exactly how it's gonna come out, right? But I think with this one, I knew the horror sequences. That's the fun part. But when it came to the drama and when it came to the heart of the family story, I purposely, even though we're shooting film, which is, you don't want to keep on using roles, but we kept, I spoke to the producer. I'm like, this is where I want to give a bit of leg room for the actors to really come in and bring their voices into it. Whether it's Amani, Badur as Amani, or Sarah as Zahra, or Noor, who's Iman, or Iman playing Noor. So I wanted their voices in the movie as much as possible. So it was a great process. It was a collaborative process, and of course because I was searching for the truth, and ultimately that's why I wanted. It came out once I casted the right people. It came easy. It came more naturally, not easy, more natural.
أماني حبيبتي، عرفت على زهرة. زهرة هي زوجتي الثانية. هي بتعيش معانا هني في البيت.
Thank you. I think it definitely came in post. Like but we were finding out with sound and music. We were in conversations, especially music. Like Jerry Lane, who did my first film, came on board. I think like 2 months before we went filming, he sent me a score. He sent me an 8-track score of the movie. After reading the script, he just sent it to me, and he told me, he's like, "Hey, just go on your shoot every morning. Just listen to my music. This is the music I see the film in." And that really, we kind of identified the sound of, or the music, the sound of music of the movie early on. But what happened later on when we're editing it, we really wanted to kind of give that balance of the harmony of the music and the sound to really kind of work with each other instead of working against each other. And that's one thing that's why, like, for example, the horror scenes, you'd see me, I'm much more into the silent side. I want you to feel that, hey, until the jump comes, I want you to feel like you're sitting in a room, you close all the lights, and you think about those like most twisted thoughts of like ghosts and demons, and you start hearing everything. Your ears magnify automatically, right? And that's the approach I took for the horror side of it. But then when the emotional part came in, that's when we wanted the music to kind of really kind of lift things up. So it was a balance between sound design and the music and it took a long time. It took the music, we've worked on it for almost, and sound, almost a year and 3 months, just back and forth, going like redoing like chunks of the movie. Yeah, no, I think one of the first, with Benji, who was my cinematographer, who's a great guy and very talented, super talented. the first conversation we have had is movies that we love, and one of the genres when it comes to the visual look. Two filmmakers I love a lot is Helen Keter and Bruno Forzani, who did films like Amer, Strange Color of Your Body Tears. So they are let's say the Tarantino of the giallo genre, right? They took Mario Bava and Dario Argento and mixed them together in Tarantino-esque. The whole, like, if you watch any of their movies, incredible visual masterpieces, right? And there was a lot of, they played with a lot of the darks and the light, and there was certain instances that I saw in their imagery as crazy it could get. It's different than mine, but as crazy as it could get. But there is, they really play with that textures that I really love. Which okay, again, I love giallo, I love Mario Bava films, I love Dario Argento films. So to see that updated and do it in the new generation doing it and doing it differently, and then rewatching Dario Argento, that's where I guess my visual with the keyholes, with the eyes, and with the short, with the extreme close-ups, that's where my inspiration comes from, because I love that genre. But one of the things we did early on is decide to shoot on 16. So that by itself really kind of made us. Gave the visual language a very different language than automatic shooting on digital. It's you have to prep the living hell out of it, and then go in knowing exactly what we need to shoot. So that was a conversation that me and Benji were having back and forth, doing testing, going to set, because everything that was shot was all on a set build. So other than exteriors, everything is built on a soundstage. So with that, but the reason why we did that is it gives us leg room when we're prepping to go in, me and Benji, and just like start shooting pictures, and it's just seeing the color, the tones, and how these angles and stuff. So a lot of it was in prep that we really kind of decided the language and the visual language of the movie is. But we also chose a lot of it. One of the big inspirations, of course, and now that I'm going to say it, you're going to see the resemblance his mother, Darren Aronofsky's mother. A lot of the perspective, the language, the perspective language, that movie really helped us a lot with how I wanted to work, because I wanted everything in Amani's perspective, and we didn't want to break that. We didn't want to, I remember in the beginning of my shot list, I had cameras in the drawers and cameras go up the roof and come down, but then me and Benji were like, no, let's just keep it into Amani's perspective, because that's her story. And that's something developed just within us, just watching movies and movies that we love and that inspired us, and then implementing in the movie. We definitely talked about it a lot because we grew up in that environment, right? We know that what kind of household this is, because we've been, not necessarily us specifically, but we've seen it within our neighborhoods, right? And of course, you hear it from moms, and you hear the conversations of moms' friends and stuff. So we kind of knew the perspectives that a second wife will or automatically be in the house, what they would see. And one of the things I remember saying to Osara, I'm like, you're gonna come on, and the first thing they're gonna do is they're gonna hate you, because you're the second wife, right? You're ruining a family, right? But what we want to do is play it opposite, where could it be that she might be nice, or could it be that Amani's seeing things, and so that was the kind of the conversation we were having early on, and that's how we want. So it's up until the end that we really kind of see her, like the devil side started really coming out. But in the beginning, we really want to kind of have that contrast of hey, what if she is good? What if she is? What if she just really fell in love with Khalid? But Khalid is the guy, because ultimately he's the guy. I always say in making this movie, he is the guy that did the mistake. He is, and this is not against polygamy or anything. It's there's no choice to it. There was no conversations to it, right? And Khalid did it the wrong way. And if you want to like deep cut, actually I shouldn't say it now, because before the people that are going to watch it. But there is certain instances, if you watch it again, you realize that Khalid really messed up so much that he didn't, essentially, when he had that relationship, he didn't want to bring her to the house. But something happened in that relationship that he forced it into the house. So he was happy her being a mistress, and not even a second wife. And it's just when that thing happened to him, which his dreams coming true, so there is that. There is that kind of dilemma that you see with Khalid, or not dilemma, I guess it's again, he is the guy that you could always point the finger on that he messed up. But I think with Sarah, because I knew that, with Sarah I wanted to play it a bit softer. I wanted to make her, hey, what if it's not your fault, right? What if people connect that and they see Khalid just played in a way where it's not your fault. You fell in love and this happened, and and part of our culture, that's our culture and religion. We agree to it, but he just did it the wrong way. Like that, he did the. What if that's the scenario? And then, of course, if we take that approach, and that was the conversation we had, and then when she sat in, that's how we kind of built her up towards the end of the. Then of course, towards the end of the movie. I definitely want to do something a bit lighter. Definitely. I definitely dwell more into the genre. Definitely in the genre. Maybe it could be zombie, maybe it could be vampires, maybe it could be something. But it's something that I really, because this took a lot from me. Because it was more personal. It was more about my. It's something that it was had a. It was very, because it was very personal. It's a very like delicate subject matter within our culture. It just was a lot of weight on me. So I think with the next one, of course, I want to do something that relate and that will be a part of our culture and it'll be part, but something a bit lighter, something a bit more in the genre space and the fun space. I think.
عندي سؤال. هل طبيعي إنه خالد كل يوم في الليل هو نايم يقعد يتكلم؟
بس شيء قاعد يستوي في البيت.
بعد البداية بس